Welcome back, students. Well, in this today's lecture, we will be discussing the last section of our chapter linear transformation. So, in this particular section, we will understand or we will learn how to represent a linear transformation in term of matrix. See, given a linear transformation from a finite dimensional vector space to a finite dimensional vector space, we can construct a corresponding unique matrix with respect to the given ordered basis of the domain and the codomain of the linear transformation. So here we will see, in this small video we will see how exactly we construct that construct that matrix of a given linear transformation and given ordered basis. So let's start with the topic. Matrix representation of a linear transformation. Given a linear transformation from a vector space V to a vector space W with the dimension of V and the dimension of W being finite, in this case I have taken dimension of V as small m and the dimension of W as small m, and B1 consisting of the vector v1, v2 till vn, and b2 consisting of the vector u1, u2 till um are the basis of v and w respectively. Now these are not only the basis, we call it as an ordered basis. Ordered basis as in the order of these elements are important. As we are going to construct a matrix, if we shuffle the order, the matrix is going to be shuffled. So with respect to this order of this basis, we will be having a matrix representation of this given linear transformation. So we call it as an ordered basis because if b1 contain v1, v2 till dot 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 vn, we cannot say that b1 is same as v2 comma v1 comma v3 comma v5. So we cannot shuffle the order. Okay, so that's why they are called as an ordered basis. Okay, so now basically what will happen here is that, see, we will see the mapping of this T at each of this point of B1, and what we observe is that since this is a linear transformation from V to W, now these are the points V1, V2 in V, right? That B1 is a subset of V. Okay, so if I look at the image point of this B1, then they will definitely uh, in this W somewhere here, say T of V1 will be somewhere here. But now you know that this B2 is an ordered basis of W, so any element of this W can be uniquely expressed as a linear combinations of vectors of B2. Okay, so we will see the image of each of this B1 and we will see its expression in terms of this elements in B2. Okay, and the corresponding coefficients of this bi's will give us the matrix. Okay, so let's see what is that matrix and how do we construct that matrix. Okay, so this is the observation for each vi in V. You know, this T of vi will be in W, which is spanned by this P2, and therefore we will have the representation of this each of this T of Vy in terms of this elements in B2. So therefore we should have T. Okay, I'll call this as, first I look for T of V1. Suppose I say that T of V1 is expressed as A11U1 plus A12U2. See, I'm using this notation purposely so that we get a matrix in terms of a11, a12 and so on. Okay, and so this will go on till a1 m. Since I'm varying the second coordinate, the second place here, so you will have a1m un, right? Similarly, t of v2. Now this a11, a12 till a1m are some scalars. Okay. Similarly, we will have this t of v2 as a21 u1 plus a22 u2, and this will keep on moving till a2m un. We don't know what are those scalars, but we are pretty sure that each of this t of vi will can be expressed in terms of this elements of v2. Okay, and this will we will uh, look at each of these images of the v1 v2 till vn. Okay, so t of vn will be an1 u1 plus an2 u2, and this goes on till anm um. Okay, so now to construct a matrix from here is very simple task. What I'll do is that, see, this is a system of equation that I'm getting. So now the matrix is constructed from this right hand side. Okay, so now if you collect the coefficient of each of this ui from each of these equations, then you will get a matrix a11, a12, a1m, then a21, a22, a2m, and this goes on till an1 till anm. So that's n cross m matrix, but that's not the required matrix. You just take a transpose of this particular matrix, that is the transpose of the coefficients of u1, u2 till um in this particular system. I will call this as star. That's it. That is the matrix with respect to the bases b1 and b2. So if you change the bases, or if you shuffle the order of the element of the bases, then definitely the matrix will also change. So this is how we define a matrix representation of T in this way. Okay, we denote it in this way: T of P1. So yeah, bracket T of B1 comma B2. That's a notation. Now this is for the choice of, for this choices of basis of B1 and B2. So you need to be alert here. If you change the basis, then definitely your matrix representation will change. As a transpose, this is the notation, okay? And the matrix is defined as the transpose of the coefficient of this ui's, where I is varying from 1 to m, okay, in the above system, in the system star. So basically, if this is the expression, then what is the matrix that we are supposed to get? So in this case, that is, you will have a matrix T of b1 comma b2 as well. So in this case, you need to know the order of the matrix with respect to any choice should be clear from the dimensions of the domain and the codomains. Now in this case, let us see what is the matrix set. As I mentioned, it's a transpose of the coefficient. So it's not going to be the first row, it's not going to be a11, a12 till a1m. In fact, it is that will transform into the column. So this a11, a12, the first row, that is the coefficient of the first equation, will become your first column. So this will go on till a1. Next will be you just look at the second equation. So the coefficient of this one, T of V2, that is A21, A22 till A2M, will become your second column, not row. So you will have A21, A22, and this will go on till A2M, right? And so this goes on. The last column will be given by this equation. Okay, so an1, an2, and this goes on till an. Now in this particular system you have n equations. Okay, n equations and m scalars, m unknowns in each of these equations, right? So therefore if I simply take the coefficient matrix, then it's going to be n cross m. Now since this is a transpose of the coefficient matrix, it becomes m cross n. Okay, and so why it is now easy to determine the size of the matrix? See, I begin with this T from V to W. The dimension of this V is n, the dimension of W is m. So very from here spontaneously you can tell the dimension or the order of the matrix or matrix representation. It's going to be the dimension of W cross the dimension of V, that is the dimension of the codomain into the dimension of the domain, right? So let us look at some examples. Now why this is important, if you remember, we had generalized linear transformation. Linear transformation can be written as T of x can be written as Ax, and if you look at that matrix, it is this matrix that you will be getting. Okay, so so in fact any linear transformation can be represented in this form for some matrix A. That matrix A is in fact this matrix, the matrix with respect to some bases B1 and B2 of the domain and the codomain respectively. Okay, now most often what happens is that the bases are not mentioned. So in that case, for that particular vector space we will stick to their standard bases. Let's look at some examples and let's see how do we construct this matrix representation of the given linear transformation. Let's look at this. Consider a linear transformation T from R2 to R2 defined by T of x comma y is equal to x plus y comma x minus y. Sometimes the question may come to prove that this is a linear transformation. So first we have to prove and then find a matrix representation of T with respect to its standard basis. Standard basis, that means the standard basis of the domain as well as the standard basis of the codomain. Now in both this case, the domain and the codomain is the vector space R2 with respect to its standard operation. And with respect to the standard operation, we all know that the standard bases are simply E1 and E2, right? So in this case B1, the standard basis is E1 comma E2. I hope you all know what is this E1. E1 is the vector in R2. So this is same as your B2 as well. Okay, so this is the vector. E1 is the vector in R2 wherein the first coordinate is 1 and the rest all coordinate is 0. So this is 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 1, right? The dimension of R2 is 2. Okay, so what you will have to do is that you will have to look for the image of this E1 and E2. So first you will look for T of E1, that is T of 1 comma 0. By definition it is what, and you will have to write down the resultant vector in terms of 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 1 once again, because V2 is as same as V1. So in this case it is 1 comma 1 comma, this would be 1 minus 0, so 1 plus 0 1 comma 1. Okay, and how would you write down this in terms of 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 1? It's very simple. 1 comma 0, you don't have to actually do the computation for this. Orally you can write down this. You just have to write down this as 1 comma 0. So what is the scalar that will appear here? 1 and 1. Okay, because the first coordinate is 1 here, so you just have to multiply that 1, and the second coordinate will become 0, so that you have add to this coordinate. So again the second coordinate here is 1, so you multiply by that scalar. Okay, so if this bases were different, then that this would have been a different story. You might have to put some unknowns, and then you'll have to find the scalars. But since these are the standard, it's very simple to compute this expression, the scalars. Okay, so same way t of e2 in this case is q of 0 comma 1, and that is what that is what 0 plus 1, it is 1, and 0 minus 1 is minus 1. Once again you have to write down this in terms of 1 comma 0 plus some scalar into 0 comma 1. So that scalar in this case is 1, and here you have 0. So 0 plus 1, right now this is giving me 1, but I want minus 1, so you will make this minus the scalar. So these are the coefficients of your u1 and u2. Coefficients in the first equation is 1 1, the coefficient in the second equation 1 comma minus 1. So the resultant matrix, anyway, you can find out the size of the matrix from here. The resultant matrix should have the size 2 cross 2. Okay, so therefore t, now when b1 and b2 is same, we can also represent t in this way. Okay, with respect to b1, so it is the matrix. So the first column here will appear, I mean the first, this 1 comma 1, this scalar in the first equations will appear as the first column, or vice versa. You can write also this, the first column here as the first row, not a problem. So this will appear as 1 comma minus 1 as a second column. So this is the required 2 cross 2 matrix. Okay, so that's simple it is. We'll talk one more example. This is the example from P3 of x to P3 of x. I hope you all know this set. This is a set of all the polynomials of degree less than or equal to 3. And the standard basis for this particular set, okay, the dimension of P3 is 3 plus 1, 4. If you remember, the dimension of Pn of x was given as n plus 1. And the standard basis, first element with the degree 0, second element with the degree 1, third element with the degree 2, and the fourth element with the maximum degree. Okay, so this is the standard basis. Show that T is a linear transformation. This I will leave it as an homework. It's very simple in fact, so let me show it. So suppose I have f and g belonging to P3 of x. This is actually called as the differential operator, and alpha beta as a scalar. We will show that q of alpha f plus beta g, by definition this is same as d by dx of alpha f plus beta g evaluated at x, right? But you know that this is same as, this function is same as alpha f of x plus beta g of x, and by the linear property of the differential coefficient or the derivative, this is same as, so using the property, or using the property of linear transformation, we have shown that q of alpha f is same as alpha tf plus beta tg. By definition this again become tg, and this again become tf. Okay, so therefore we have shown that T is. Next, with respect to this basis, we need to determine its matrix representation. So that's again simple. What you'll have to do is that you'll have to look for T of 1, T of x, T of x square, and T of x cube, and you'll have to again represent the resultant vector in terms of 1, x, x square, and x cube. So first you look at T of 1. T of 1 is d by dx of 1. Derivative of a constant function is 0. So how would you write down this? uh, as the sum of 1 x, x square and x cube. Okay, so you should never, this elements will always come, so you should always write down this at the correct places. Okay, so we want this resultant vector to be 0, so definitely all scalars have to be 0. So this is the first column. Same way, if I look for t of x, then this is going to be d by dx of x, so that is same as 1, right? So how you are going to write down this in terms of 1 x, x square and x cube. This is independent of x, so definitely these scalars have to be 0, and this is as same as 1, so you will have the scalar 1, 1 into 1 is 1, right? Same way you look for t of x square, that is going to be d by dx of x square. This is 2x. So once again, how would you write down this in terms of, definitely there's no constant term, so this is going to be 0. Coefficient of x here is 2, so this is going to be 2, and the coefficient of x square here is 0, here it is 0. Okay, and the last one, t of x cube, that is t by, see the resultant matrix you're supposed to get is 4 cross 4 because the dimension of P3 of x is 4, and here the domain and the codomain is same. If the codomain was P2 of x, then in that case you would have got 3 cross 4 matrix. Okay, so this is x cube, which is same as 3x square. So this is independent of 1x and x cube, so this should be 0 comma 1, 0 into 1, 0 into x plus 3 into x square plus 0 into x cube. So this gives us the matrix representation. This is enough. 4 cross 4 matrix. The scalars, that is 0 0 0 0, will be the first column, then 1 0 0 0 second column, transpose, okay, remember that. 0 2 0 0 is going to be third column, and 1 0 3 0 is going to be last column. That's it. Just one last example. Consider linear transformation T from R2 to R3. You know the dimension of R2 is 2, the dimension of R3 is 3. So the resultant matrix with respect to any basis should be 3 cross 2. Okay. And the linear transformation is given in this way. So find the matrix associated to do with respect to its standard basis. Okay. So now here the bases are not given. So definitely you will have to take the standard basis. B1 is the basis in R2. That is E1 comma E2, as the dimension is 2. And what is this E1? E1 is 1 comma 0, 0 comma 1. Vectors in R2. B2 on the other hand is going to be a subset of R3. So it will contain the vector in R3. So E1 comma E2 comma E3. Now this E1 and E2 is not same as this E1 and E2 because these are the vectors in R3. So this is 1 comma 0 comma 0. This is 0 comma 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 0 comma 1. Slightly different problem. So what you will now do, this B1 is a subset of R2. So you will check for the images of this points in B1. So you will check for T of 1 comma 0. T is already defined. X is 1, Y is 0. So by definition 1, 1 plus 0, that is 1, and Y is 0. So how would you express this 1 comma 1 comma 0 vector in terms of this standard basis of R3? Very simple. First you write down basis. Look at the first coordinate. It's 1, so this has to be 1. Now you write down the second element, that is E2 here. Look at these are the scalars, by the way, which I'm multiplying. Look at the second coordinate. It's 1, so this is 1, and you multiply it to 1, you get 1, and the last one is 0 comma 0. Last coordinate we want it to be 0, so this has to be 0. So now if you sum up this, you will get 1 comma 1 1, This is 1 comma 0 comma 0 plus 0 comma 1 comma 0 plus 0 comma 0 comma 0. That's same as 1 comma 1 comma 0. Same way, if you look at t of 0 comma 1, then this would be same as x. So 0, 0 plus 1 is 1 and y is 1. So it's 0 comma 1 comma 1. So how do you express this in terms of 1 comma 0 comma 0, 0 comma 1 comma 0 and 0 comma 0 comma 1. So here we want this first place to be 0. So this has to be 0 and this as it is 1 and this as it is 1. Okay. So now therefore I can write down the matrix representation of T with respect to the standard basis as a transpose of the now here what are the scalar 1 1 0, so that is going to be your first column, and 0 1 1 is going to be your second column. That's it. So this is the matrix that you get 3 cross 2, as we have mentioned earlier. You're supposed to get a matrix of order 3 cross 2. Okay, so it's very simple task. Only thing, if the base is other than standard basis, then in that case you'll have to do certain computation to find those scalars. Okay, so you may take some more examples from the textbook and try to find the linear transformation for the basis for the transformation that we have defined so far with respect to the standard basis. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the last part of the linear transformation. The next class onwards we will start with a new chapter called as an inner product space.